Peter Sidwell and welcome to my kitchen. It is time to cook. Now we've got another guest in our kitchen today, Jo Travers, nutritionalist and dietitian, yeah?
Yep, that's right.
So, I've got a nutritionalist, dietitian, keeping an eye on what we're cooking. Now, I've been working with California Prunes now for quite some years, creating loads of amazing recipes, and I wanted to create something with Jo so that we could really dive into sort of the nutritional value of cooking as well and make something absolutely delicious that you, the viewer, would want to make, but actually understand the value of what the ingredients are that we're putting in, because we're all trying to eat a little bit healthier. And I think some little ideas, some hints, some tips, some recipes and help and guidance to make your own cooking a little bit healthier will make a massive impact. So, you've been waiting to try this recipe, haven't you?
I have indeed, yes.
So we're going to make, it's inspired by Cadbury's Fruit and Nut Chocolate Bar. But don't get too excited, it's not a chocolate bar. But the combination of chocolate, fruit and nuts is where we're going. And I'm going to show you a Nordic seed bread, seed and nut bread actually. And it's one of the oldest bread recipes in the world. But we've kind of tweaked it and evolved it and adjusted it to make it absolutely delicious and fit for a bit of energy boost, I think is probably the right way to go about it. So in terms of our ingredients, Emily, do you want me to bring these onto the chopping board while we talk about them? So it's gluten-free, this recipe, just by coincidence. It's not gluten-free for a purpose. So we've got chia seeds. Now I hear all about chia seeds, that they kind of fill you up for longer, is that?
Yeah, so
they swell up, do they?
Yeah, and also they're quite high in fibre, but actually so are all seeds, like chia seeds, you know, flax seeds, we've got loads of seeds here, and they all do the same job.
Yeah.
Just with a range of different nutrients in them, but they're all full of good fats. They're, you know, they're the superfood really.
I mean, you can see on my sort of kitchen shelf there's loads of seeds there. I use them all the time. We sprinkle them over pasta, we add them into breads, you know, porridges, all sorts, flapjacks, you name it.
Salads, I love them.
Yeah,
Good,
I actually roast them as well sometimes so they get nice and crunchy. So we've got chia seeds first, then we've got a mixture. So I've got pumpkin seeds, which are my favourites. I love these because the colour is brilliant. And then we've got sunflower seeds, golden linseeds and brown linseeds in there as well. But they're all kind of doing the same thing, is that fair to say?
Yeah, they're doing lots of different jobs, but all taste different, so they're really nice to get the mixture together. And when you have a range of things in there, you're covering off lots of different nutritional sort of boundaries, so it's really nice to get a good mixture of things in.
I think it's good when you can find these recipes. So we've got ground flax seeds, so I think this is probably our flour replacement, so this will absorb and kind of help bind things together. And then we've got loads of nuts. We've got hazelnuts, we've got pecans, we've got walnuts in there, we've got Brazil nuts, just, you know, those big bags of mixed ones that you can get. We've gone with that, so we've got tons of nuts in there. We've got California prunes. Now, California prunes, they're very textural, I think. And what they're doing is they're adding these nuggets of fruit throughout the bread. So they've got that nice sort of mouthfeel, the sweetness, obviously nutritionally very rich, full of fibre, absolutely delicious. I've been cooking with them loads for years now, and you'd be amazed what I can get a prune into, I'll tell you. So we've also got dark chocolate, so this is the treat bit. Who knew we could have dark chocolate in healthy eating?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's 70% dark chocolate this. Is that quite important to go for the darker chocolates?
Actually, the darker chocolate gives you more of a chocolate hit, so you don't need so much of it. Whereas if you're having the like really milky chocolate, you know, you need more of it to get a chocolate hit. But the 70% one is good, but also it's got lots of polyphenols in it, which are really good for our health, anti-inflammatory. It's so, yeah, better to have the darker chocolate if you can get it.
And dark chocolate actually pairs really nicely with California prunes. Now I want you to try this.
Yeah,
now,
I want to try it too.
Yeah. So let me move these over before we start baking, and we'll actually just talk about just the chocolate, but we'll come back to some other tastings as well. Now I went over to California to look at working. I actually got to go to the farms, I got to see the orchards, and actually got to see the plums coming off the trees and taste them and everything. And I really delved in to sort of tastings and pairings. And for me, that's where kind of amazing recipes start, is a combination of that and that flavour, and where are we going to go in the kitchen with that? So help yourself to a California prune and try a piece of this dark chocolate. Now this is 53% Venezuelan chocolate, which to chocolatiers will mean something. To me, it's just delicious. But try them together. Okay. This chocolate's quite fruity as a chocolate on its own.
That is really nice. They're really soft as well, aren't they?
You know, they've got that nice sort of chewiness to them and sweetness.
What I really like about prunes is that they're so easy to kind of fit into your everyday life. You can just have it for a snack, you can put it in a recipe.
Yeah.
And they're so healthy and well balanced. They're really great to add in.
I always think that they give that real nutritional hit to something and just raise the bar on nutritional value, and that's exactly what we're doing today. So, enough talk, let's bake, okay? So, I've got mixing bowl. We're going to start off with our eggs. Now, normally you wouldn't put eggs into bread, but because this is a very ancient Nordic style bread recipe, eggs is what they had. They obviously didn't have a lot of wheat, so this is gluten-free. So we're going with 5 free-range eggs, straight in, and then 30 mils of extra virgin olive oil, and this will help it sort of keep soft, and I think it helps it really keep longer. Now, olive oil is pretty good for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good for you. So it's got, again, when I was talking about polyphenols in chocolate, we've got the same polyphenols and also some additional ones in the olive oil as well.
It's that whole Mediterranean diet, isn't it? Exactly. It always seems to come back again, that we go through all these fads and different trends, and it always seems to come back to Mediterranean.
Yeah.
And maybe it's something to do with their kind of how chilled out they are as well.
Maybe, although
I'm sure it's not just food.
Although now I'm not quite sure how often they do eat the Mediterranean diet in the Mediterranean these days. So
okay.
Yeah, but plenty of fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds. I mean, pretty much what we've got going on in this recipe here.
So I'm just going to add a pinch of sea salt, and this is more just to get the balance. We're not trying to make it salty or savoury. We're just trying to get a little bit of balance in there. So once you've got your eggs, you've got your oil, we're then going to take our prunes. Now, take our California prunes. I'm going to chop them up into not too smaller pieces, sort of each prune into 3. Because I want, when you try it, I want a little nugget. I want you to get a hit of fruit. I want you to get a hit of chocolate, and the nuts and the seeds are kind of what carries that. So don't chop them up too small.
These prunes are quite big as well, aren't they?
They're a good size. They are a good size. So they can go in, and this recipe is so easy. It's almost embarrassing that I'm showing you this, because it is so blooming easy. So straight in with seeds. Now, if you want the recipe, scan the QR code along the bottom. If you don't want to use the QR code, go to californiaprunes.net, and that is where all the recipes are held for California prunes. There's tons and tons of ideas, hints, tips, recipes. There's loads there, so go and have a look. But in with our chia seeds.
I really like this because we've got a real nice balance of nutrients. So we've got good fats from the seeds and from the nuts, and we've got some carbohydrate from the prunes in there, and protein from the eggs, and there's good protein in the nuts as well. So we've got some really nice things going on. Brilliant.
So in with our nuts. The good thing about this bread recipe as well is there's no hard work. Normally with bread, you're kneading, you're developing the gluten, you're letting it prove, you're knocking it back, all sorts. With this, you just mix it all up together. Make sure what the eggs will do as well is they will absorb into the chia seeds and the flax seeds. And I mean, it doesn't look much like bread at the moment, but I promise you, it will, I promise. Okay, so in with our dark chocolate. So they're just little buttons really, so they'll distribute all the way through. Now, if you've got any questions at all about this recipe, please do post them in the comments below, and either myself or Joe will be able to answer your questions and try and help you wherever we can. So that is it.
That's really nice. That's really nice, kind of full of energy, like you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's a bit embarrassing really, there's not a lot to it, but sometimes these are the best recipes.
It's true, and actually, in order to keep, you know, this is really good for refueling, so we're up here in the lakes, going to be doing some hill walking maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I live in the Lake District, so I'm always out and about. I was out with the dog at 7:30 this morning, walking up a fell. We've got 2 young kids, I know you have too, you probably lead just as busy a life as me. But having something delicious and nutritious to kind of turn to, because I think sometimes when you look at energy bars and granolas and bars and things like that, before you realise that they're worse than
they are really
chocolate
quite
bars,
high
aren't
sugar.
they? They're not
so
doing what you think they're doing.
So this one will be a little bit sweet, but not too sweet. Yeah, and I suppose the prunes have some naturally occurring sugars in them, so we'll offer a little bit of sweetness, but it's actually low glycemic index, which means that it gets absorbed into the bloodstream quite slowly, and we've also got all that fibre in there and protein too. So rather than getting a spike in blood sugar that you might get from having an energy bar, for example, it's a much more gradual rise, and then it keeps you going for much longer, so you end up with, you know, keeping that energy up like for a longer period of time.
So is that, so this would be a low GI type product, is that right?
That's right, yeah. So the glycemic index, or GI, measures how quickly a carbohydrate food gets into your bloodstream. So sugar, table sugar, would be straight in there. You get a spike in blood sugar straight. Exactly,
And the low.
Exactly. Always, you get a spike, is always followed by a crash. So this will be much more gradual rise, and then it will keep you going. So that sugar in your blood will just be feeding the cells for a much longer time. So it's really nice.
Brilliant.
But also other things in prunes. So vitamin B6, for example, that's involved in energy metabolism. So without vitamin B6, we can't really keep our energy levels up, and we feel tired and fatigued and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff going on, all working together to keep energy, you know, nice and constant and good.
It's fascinating and complicated as well, I think, sometimes. Right, this is going into the oven 160 degrees, so it's not a very hot oven. And it's going to take between 30 to 40 minutes to bake. Now, if you're going to make this recipe, please make it for tomorrow, because it is the kind of bread that needs to rest and firm up, and then the next day it will be absolutely delicious. So it's very much kind of, I mean, you saw how quick and easy it was to knock up. Anyone could do that. And then just pop it in the oven, bake it, and then leave it overnight, and then the next day you can cut it into little pieces, into slices. I've got one I've already made, which I'm going to show you in a minute, Joe, and we'll have a taste of it. But we can carry on with our tastings, because I think that, for me, this is a really interesting bit where, you know, different ideas happen. It's the spark, it's the catalyst for creating beautiful dishes. Now, what I've got here is some walnuts. So obviously in our bread, we have got nuts in there. So California prunes and nuts work incredibly well together. I think they've got a very earthy flavour. I've also got some brie as well, which we're going to try, which I think is absolutely amazing. Now, we did a baked camembert, didn't we, Emily, one year, and we topped it with prunes. Oh my goodness, it was so good.
That's really good.
Is that?
Sorry, excuse me. With the walnut, I couldn't wait, sorry.
No, absolutely. So it's almost a kind of an earthiness, I think, you get with the walnut and the prune.
And the texture as well together is really lovely.
You get that kind of crunch, you get the sweetness, you've got that kind of nutty, earthy flavour.
I'm really interested to try it with the olives as well.
Please.
It's not a normal sort of thing that would immediately pop to mind, is it?
No, it's not. But then if I said to you, a really lovely tagine with fruit and olives in.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when you put prunes in, they've got a very meaty texture to them. It's a very easy way to go sort of plant-based and skip meat, which I think we need to do more of for our health and for the planet and things like that. And I think that ability to be able to sort of switch out effortlessly, so you don't feel like you're missing out on something.
It's really interesting how you can use it in like having it with the chocolate, really sweet and delicious and like a dessert, but also having it with the olives takes it into completely different territory, doesn't it?
It's interesting, isn't it? I actually tried them with anchovies once, salted, and I understood it as those olives are a little bit leaning that way in
briny.
terms of that salty, briny, olivey flavour. And then you get that sweetness. And you should probably still, I can still taste that little bit of salty brininess and the California prune.
Yeah.
And I think to me that it just works really well. And it came from the anchovy where it was very salty. It was a little bit too salty for me, but I understood it. And I think this is a sort of a step back from that. Brie.
Yeah, brie.
So hopefully it's warmed up a little bit. We've got it out. For me, it's a beautiful combination of flavours. It just works. The creaminess, the richness with the intense fruity flavour from California prunes works so well together. So as a combination of ingredients, you know, then you can, it could be in a sandwich, it could be
on the bread.
Anything, absolutely on the bread. You want this
North.
bread, don't you?
Yep.
We need to get on and move on to the bread. Joe wants to try it.
I want to try it all.
That to me works really, really well. Cheese, biscuits, California prunes.
So is there any other cheese that you'd recommend trying prunes?
We could try it with a bit of vintage cheddar. I know you're from that part of the world, aren't you?
I am, yeah, I'm from Devon.
Yeah, so I think you get a different sort of flavour. It would definitely work well with blue cheese.
And we said with the salty, like feta or things like that as well.
Feta and prunes, so good.
Yeah.
So good. We've done many recipes. There you go. Have a little try. That's a vintage cheddar. So it's got that kind of slightly sharper flavour.
Yeah.
It's a firmer cheese. Works really, really well together. I think any cheese board, there's a place there for California prunes because they just offer such a nice flavour.
Really
Right.
delicious.
Onto our Nordic bread. So here's one I made earlier. And as you can see, where's the best place, Emily, to show?
Exactly that.
Yeah, happy with that. And Emily's cut it all up for me beautifully, so thank you, Emily. And you can see the distribution of all the nuts, the fruit, the prunes, the chocolate. It's a fruit and nut bar.
Yeah.
So having been out, done something, you know, if you've been out for a walk, a run, cycle, what you've done your gym, whatever it needs to be, this to me is a great snack that will help you get back up off your feet, get you going, keep you running, and good GI, as you were saying before.
Yeah, and it's really easy to just fit into a part of your like healthy diet and lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's really easy to
It actually keeps really well. I actually keep it in the fridge. Because it's eggs, I do keep it in the fridge. But you can just cut it all up into little pieces, cubes, slices, whatever you want. But you've been waiting long enough, haven't you? We'll cut this up for you to try. I like to cut it really nice and thin because I think it's just got that lovely crisp texture. Let me pop it there.
Thank you.
For you. I'll cut myself a piece as well. But you can see all the nuts through it. It's got a nice texture.
Yeah, you can really taste the prunes in it. It's just lovely.
You get those
Such a
really
good
nice
texture.
little nuggets of sweetness. And if you're lucky, you get a bit of chocolate as well. If you're unlucky, you don't, you know.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, I can imagine spreading something on that as well.
Yeah.
That could go on your cheese board.
Definitely. Sounds good to me. Now, if you want the recipe for this, please scan the QR code on the bottom or go to californiaprunes.net. You will find the recipe there. If you have any questions at all about today's show, please do post them in the comments below. We are available to help you answer any questions we can. But thank you very much for joining us. Joe, thank you very much for joining me in my kitchen, and I'll see you on the next episode.